Hello everyone, it's Lincoln back again for part 2 of your test. And so speaking of your test, this is also going over quiz 2, which you will have tomorrow, which is Monday, if you're watching this later on in the week. So this is pretty exciting. I may actually send this out later. I can't decide yet since we're having a review tonight. But anyway, back to the topic of studying actually for the test and going over this material. I would encourage you to go ahead and just take a quick moment, pause this video right now, and go get your book. Go get your textbook and open it up to chapter 2, and then be ready to flip through to chapter 4. So pause now. Okay. Glad to see you back. I hope you went and got your book because I'll be referencing page numbers for where you can find this information. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you some things about the review notes in the textbook, chapter 2 about the characteristics of Greco-Roman religions. As you can see, I have notes written here, which is why I'm looking down. So don't think I'm trying to be rude. So in the Greco-Roman world, pagan, what does this word pagan mean? Pagan is not considered a bad thing. It just means that you are not a Christian nor a Jew. And what that also means is that you probably worship multiple gods. You engage in a practice called polytheism, which means worship and belief in many gods. Okay, now what are some really quick points about that? You can see this on page 19 of text. So chapter 2, page 19, that's where you can find a lot of this information. So religions are not centered on sacred writings. And that may seem kind of foreign to us, since many of us may come from Christian backgrounds or even Jewish backgrounds, and we think of the Bible as being kind of the standard upon which we should live our life, upon which we should center our everyday ethical interactions. But as you can see here, the idea of Greco-Roman religions don't really focus upon this. They're not focused upon just one Bible per se, or one religious scripture, one doctrine that can show them how exactly to live their lives. For the most part, I know there are kind of some twerks in this because you have instances where the Roman government is persecuting people who are Christian or who are foreign in some way, but for the most part, they're mostly tolerant of people who have diverse faiths. And keep in mind, they're kind of the center of the known world at this point in terms of culturally. So they have a lot of people who practice different faiths. And so that's kind of why they're necessarily tolerant. They have people in Athens and many different parts of their own country in that Western sphere who practice many different things. And let's read a little bit more about what they do. Many people didn't hold a firm belief in life after death, so no concrete ideas of life after death. At the very least, they're not living to go to heaven. They're not trying to base their life activities or their behaviors or their beliefs on going to heaven. They're trying to live in the present world, so focus upon physical life on earth, not afterlife. And that's where you see a lot of their desires for their gods to bring them fertility to their soil, to bring them rain, to help them have crops. You know, you see fertility as this really big theme, and that's because there's this focus upon living physically on earth, not just a focus on the afterlife in their beliefs. You have this idea of cultus Dora, and I have not taken Greek or Latin, so I apologize if I'm totally botching the pronunciation of that. But this is a vocabulary word. You'll probably need to know it. I'm just going to go ahead and highlight it here for you. This means care of the gods. So they're sacrificing to gods. They are praying to gods. There's this idea that you're caring for the gods by sacrificing, by praying, by following a set behavior system. However, with that in mind, they're doing this not to hope to get into the afterworld most of the times, not with the hopes of getting any sort of good favors or brownie points to get into heaven or hell or anything like that. They're caring for the gods because they are concerned about their physical life on earth. So they may be giving a sacrifice, some sort of care for the gods, to see that their cattle can be prosperous this year, to see that they can have better crops, to see that they can have, if they're a merchant, to see that their ships can be safe whenever they're traveling across the sea. You can get this idea. There's a focus upon earthly living, not necessarily the afterlife. Okay? And so you also have this idea that there's not really one strict belief system. People can kind of choose to worship many different things. So you don't just have to worship one god. You don't have to just be in one religious faith. You can kind of wibble-wobble, be a little loosey-goosey in your beliefs, and you can try out a little bit of everything. That's considered generally common in this time period. You can imagine that if you are a Jew in this time period, a very strict Jew, it would be really foreign for you to think that, oh, I can be, a pagan and I can be a Jew. It seems that those ideas are paradoxical. But to these people who are worshiping more Greco-Roman style religious beliefs, it's really, really common to kind of waffle and to make your own personal belief system a mix of many different beliefs. So it's kind of like a religious melting pot at times. You can take faiths and inspiration from multiple different belief systems and multiple different gods. Okay? Now, we are going to go over this sheet later on because there's several words on that, and I only have a limited amount of free recording time. So let's go down here and let's talk about ancient biographies. We're more concerned with showing what? You'll need to go to chapter 4, and you'll need to turn to page 52. So page 50. Okay. And you can see on page 52, if you read down that page, that ancient biographies not focused on fact, historical fact at least, focused on moral truth, it's called. This moral truth is a concept that is incredibly interesting because the book gives a really great example. The book says that in schools, even now, but especially in colonial America, children were taught, Christopher Columbus, sailed and he did all these awesome things. Or an even better example is that George Washington was so honest that he cut down a cherry tree, and whenever his father asked him, "Did you cut down this cherry tree?" he said, "I just cannot tell a lie. Yes, I did cut down the cherry tree." As we know, that probably really didn't happen in historical fact, but the moral truth is that it stands or symbolizes something greater, an idealistic truth, or a moral. So in this way, ancient biographies are not focused upon telling stories exactly how they may have happened in real life. Oftentimes they are symbolic. Oftentimes they include a lot of other information. The infancy gospels, you can find those on page 53. All those do is that they focus upon Jesus' life as an early child. Infancy Gospel of Thomas, that is also on page 53 in that purple box, and it focuses upon Jesus as a mischievous child, sometimes misusing his powers. So